Welcome to the Out There channel, live stream 467. I'll be with you after the intro. We're searching for love in ufology.
Hiding, I'm searching, I'm loving.
Here's all the girls.
I'm finding love, I'm hiding, I'm searching, I'm loving, I'm finding love.
Let the fate control your body. I'm searching, I'm loving, I'm finding love.
Hello. Sing along. Good to be back. Hello. Hello. Good to be back. It's been a busy week. Funerals and hospital tomorrow, so I might just do this relaxing live show part 2. Okay, don't think anyone's joining us though. It's night time New Zealand, so the only people that are going to be awake at this hour is going to be other Kiwis, Australians, Asians, and let's see, it must be 9 o'clock in the morning UK and Europe. So let's have a look. So yeah, I got the snapshot of the next page that we're going to start reading from. UFO photo file, the healer within. Can animals be kind? The boy with no past. Mammoth mystery. UFO force fields. Good stuff. But as you know, these have a lot of reading because there are books, not documentaries. Shame we can't push a button and have it read out. So these magazines, I had a few stories in them each time. They're still brand new. You can smell the ink. Paper's nice and fresh, like it's just been opened up. And they used to cost 50p. I bet you wouldn't get a book like this now for that sum of money. It probably cost you £10 probably, or £5. Magazines are not cheap, eh? So, better type up my welcome message. But I have to stretch across, so might have to be all lowercase today. AT channel live 467 part 2. 40-year-old UFO para magazines stories. Okay. And anyone that wants to donate, I should put up my link, but got super chat there. People seem to like that. But I'll post up my website, wordpress.com, and you can find our UFO group if you want to join it. Submit your material. Keep me on air. Oh, I did something I haven't. Gonna keep me on air and join Discord group. So I must have hit the wrong key before. Looks like it's still working. Pin message. And we're ready to go. Hopefully. This time we haven't got the added daylight. So we're going to see how well the camera goes with just 8-watt LEDs. Which is equivalent to 100 watts normal, yes. So yeah. So close that one down. And we should be rolling. There we go. Now I just have to get comfy. So there's the front page. Got some mammoths on it. Woohoo. That's what's good about these magazines, is the artwork. And ooh, look at that guy. Funny way he's standing. Looks like he's got something down his trousers. Looks like there's something not right there. The boy with no past. It looks like he's got no pants. He's got something wrong with his pants. He was the young youth found, bewildered and barely able to speak in Nuremberg in 1828. Where did he come from? Outer space, I reckon. What was his background? Graham Fuller examined Enigma. So could it be early child trafficking back in those days? Of course it could have been. There was knocking people over their heads and making them into sailors, weren't they? Back then. So yeah, whether it's a UFO mystery, I don't know. Germany. We got someone in our group called Plex. He's from Germany. So yeah, like I said, there's a lot of reading in this story. You can see how clear my camera is even at night time with some low wattage LEDs. Just amazing, really. Even though I can't see it on the screen, I can see it on the same screen as you're reading now on the second monitor. As clear as anything. Alright, so what do we got up here? Oh no, not coal burning. Yeah, ad's gone. Lost the ad's last live stream, which me and Robert are laughing our heads off. We covered a lot of taboo topics last live. So yeah, you can see there's a lot of reading in that story. So, what is the conclusion? Did they find out where he was from? The Child of Nuremberg. I've never even heard of the story. It's probably one of the stories I probably skimmed over. I thought, oh, that kind of sounds boring. I'll just get to the next story. I was a bit picky in the magazine. We get some shadow there, which is a bit of a shame. What have we got here? Yeah, it's coming out pretty good though. If I had a steadier hand. But I got to read the big screen with you. Like I said, I can't see what's on the phone screen anyway. Probably I should turn it off. save some power. How's the battery juice going? Looks like we might need to scale it down a bit. So is that full screen now? Not really. 98%, so it's not doing too bad. I haven't put the charger onto it this time, just to see how it goes. How did I scale it up last time then? I've only got it set to 720p for the camera, and low stream's 1080. So yeah, what they're talking about, dangerous. Can animals be kind? It's kind of a strange statement. Dogs can. Cats can, can't they? But I suppose they're talking about wild animals, aren't they? Study of animals reveals that what appears to be an interesting range of sellers of behaviour. Sellers? No, that could be right. What's that word there? Selfless behaviour. Okay. But as ask Gil in his apparent universal merely genetic programming to ensure survival of the species. The hidden information, which I was talking about over the year, about it being stored within the energy of atoms, trillions of bits of information. One survival of the fittest would be dogs, you know. They sort of latched onto humans and they got to go hunting and share in the meat. The stuff that humans didn't like too much. So yeah, you can see these stories go. So we're after the UFO ones, really. Or the paranormal ones. But we'll go through the whole collection. So, just to see if there's anything really good. Yeah, that's a pretty big story on this, isn't it, about animals? So it's a bit like BBC. Yeah, it's still going. Animals taking care of other people's kids. Animals taking care of other kids in the tribe. That makes sense, doesn't it? Alright, might be a UFO story coming up. I've got some pictures. UFO file. Okay, what are we looking at there? Let's have a look at the pictures first. Oh no, not dots in the sky. Yep, there's dots in the sky. Don't we just love dots in the sky? No. What's that one? Hey, who we got in the side chat? What's this one here? Looks like a load of scratches. So you're going to have to zoom in on the story and read it a bit. Let's get down the bottom of the page where we get some shine and shadow. Come on, focus. So that looks, even back then, 40 years ago, we had blur photos. That's the typical crap we get in ufology, isn't it? Look at that. Misty rubbish, like a fingerprint on the lens. Good stuff, man. So who we got here? Grandmaster. Fart Talks. So if you're going to troll, you'll have to go. Okay. We only want to see several people here. Okay, so on the evening of the 5th of March 1979, Antonio Gonzalez Lopez, aged 26, was taking photographs of the island of Gran Canaria in the Canary Islands, when suddenly noticed a strange swirling light in the sky over the seas. A moment later, a huge dark object hurtled out of the sky, straightened up in the sky, surmounting a ball of fire. 1, 2, 3. That kind of sounds like a meteorite, though. Pointed his camera at the object, checked its setting, and continued to take picture throughout. Why did this take video? I suppose back then they didn't have it. Which was estimated lasted about 3 minutes. That's pretty good. Sounds longer than what a meteorite would last. And International Space Station wasn't around then. Verified by several other witnesses. Okay. That always helps. Did they get any photographs themselves, though? Bright light shone on the dark object, efficiently obscured any detail, but it seemed to accelerate rapidly, shooting through the pattern of lights in the sky. After the object had disappeared, a bright trail and a golden cloud illuminated the sky from half an hour. So that's what that blurry mist was, I guess. Thousands of people in Gran Canaria reported the incident, and many of them took photographs. Oh, okay. Some of these found their way into the files of the Spanish government, which is, however, increasingly sympathetic to serious UFO investigation. So let's have a look. So what's it saying? It left that in the sky. So could that have been like a secret rocket launch, though? Has that sort of contrail to it, doesn't it? Getting the shadow there. The book's curved. There we go. Well, it does seem to be like a rocket contrail, doesn't it? I can't remember this story. Someone managed to dig up there was some rocket testing going on. But they said it may be a cover-up for the UFO story. So who knows? Maybe they tried to shoot it down. Okay. Dots in the sky, eh? Not too sure what that one is. The book sliding. Can we get the glare off? That's better. That's weird, I don't know what that is. What does that say there? Can't quite make it out. Come on, go focus. No, it looks like it's a blurry light. I thought it was actually some text in it. Mind you, with my eyes, it looks like it's got text in it. Why is it not focusing in then? Camera's having trouble getting super close. It looks like it might have some text in it. But my eyes are no good, as you know. Let's see. "17-year-old pupil boarding school was only one of many sightings of bright lights moving radically reported over a 4-month period." Yeah, it's a shame we don't get that now when we've got the camera technology. Hey? I've got some other UFO stories. A force to be reckoned with. Many UFO sightings are heralded by the erratic behavior of electrical equipment and failure of car engines. What forces could create these disturbances? Are they deliberately produced, or are they mere side effects of UFOs passing? Me and Rob sort of looked into this over the years, and most of the stories and the science behind it suggested that engines don't like ionized oxygen, and it stalls the engines, right? Because oxygen combines with the fuel to cause combustion, so it simply stalls the engine rather than it being battery related, right? If they drained the battery, you wouldn't start the car up again. So, I'm not sure if we've seen these stories before, but we probably haven't seen the artwork before. November 1957, Texas. Right, the level land case, right? That was the one about the engines being installed in a egg-shaped UFO over the road. What's that saying there on that? Second incident of 2nd November, straddling the road. The skeptics wrote it off as car problems though, because apparently the car was actually in a garage with electrical issues, but that's how they sort of wrote it off. Wasn't really investigated very well, this case. So yeah. And is that the same one? As soon as it focuses in. Iran, yep. Stored the plane, wasn't it? There it is. they were going to fire a missile at it. When they got Locke, he lost control of the plane. So it's got all the good classics UFO stories in these 40-year-old books. So look at those nice brand new pages. They feel good to touch as well. Something you don't get with electronic books. Okay, they're talking about parts of the car engine here. Headlamp, battery, spark plugs, generator. I think most of us know the parts of a car. However, a drain battery will not function again until it's been recharged. That's right. Until it has been recharged. In any cases such as those described above, the car engine has restarted immediate upon departure of the UFO. That's what I said too. Yeah. Normally they smell ozone, or it's like a lightning storm around these UFOs, right? So it seems to suggest that they're changing the atmosphere somehow. Heavy trucks would be neglecting their duty if they did not concern themselves with means of defence. Is it page stuck together? I'm so new, the pages. Alright, it's talking about the mouse now. So that was a couple of pages on UFOs. They still find these today, whole bodies. They reckon they could bring them back to life. Jurassic Park. Someone's going to do it. I bet you it'll be the Chinese. Russians have got the mammoths. I'm not too sure if China's got access to any. There's a baby one. Kind of looks like a normal elephant though, doesn't it? DNA will only get better. DNA technology, I should say. Ice Age, that was a pretty good movie. Pretty funny movie. What's that saying? Talking about how they got wiped out. Climate change. I think they find the tusks, don't they? Mostly up Alaska. In the gold mining industry, they just seem to dig them out the permafrost. So, got some chatters. I see some activity. So much doo-doo. I think you have to go, mate. Not sure what your story is. I don't like trolls. Right. You can keep watching though if you want to. There's not much I can do about that. The healer within. These people that can claim they can heal others by holding their hands over. Sounds good. Can the mind rid the body of illness? I certainly can suppress pain to a point. I know the placebo thing does work though. God, hate to wear those clothes back in those days. Especially in a hot climate. What's this? Someone's been hooked up to electrodes. So, who was it? Who founded the what? The Christian Science religion. Above, a student of the biofeedback technique. I suppose there's people like that still today, though. Don't know if they're legit or not. I haven't looked into it. We did have a guy said there was a girl that does magic with her hands on back pain. And they're going to give it a try. I suppose you spend your money and if it doesn't work, do you get refunds? Probably not. Here we got on the side. Not another troll. One World Crusade. Not an order then. You can counter intel. Actually knew about all this stuff. Your counter intel? You mean Control? What do you call it? Contel Pro. Is that what you're talking about? Briefed on it. What? The power of healing with the hands. What are we talking about? Biofeedback. And they had a lot of, when electricity first came around, they were sapping themselves and all sorts, but sometimes that does actually work. Numb the nerves, right? And so you get less pain for a wee while. Then a voice, no, not a voice in my head told me that I can't quite get it now. where was it? Told me that somebody important and well respected would die. Well, doesn't that sort of happen randomly though? It's sort of pretty general formation. If you said certain person with this name is going to die and they do, then that's pretty spot on then. I suppose these are letters for people that are written in. Mostly religious people write in, don't they? So on to the next magazine. What stories have we got here? Sex. Tesla, unknown genius. Glastonbury scripts, end of Jinx ship. UFOs over Japan. Because probably where I first found out about Tesla. Oh, what happened there? Alright. Later on soon, still. Silly me. Did I get everything on the side? Yep. Yeah, I've seen that picture many times. It's well printed, this book. Flash of Inspiration, Nikola Tesla. An electric pioneer of electrical engineer. And of course other people are now trying to say other people invented it. But at the time there was many inventors all trying to solve AC puzzle. And apparently a German had invented it just before Tesla, but Tesla put the patent in first. So I guess the one that puts the patent in first wins. Yep. Now what have we got over here? Doesn't look like him. Age of 23, they reckon. There's patents. So what's that for the generator? Looks like it. Further down. Transmitting wireless power, is it? Condenser. And there's the spark gap, the sig there. Transmitter. That's only part of the story though. Watch my documentary on it, be better. Circuits and tune. Well, that one there was a stage photograph, by the way. He's not actually there reading. He was a good distance away. He wasn't that stupid. Magazines are sliding off again. What have we got here? Alright, he did that remote control ship on the water, didn't he? Could push it along and turn the rudder. Wireless remote control, that's what he invented as well. And you could light up a light bulb with his hand. as you know, showing how you can transmit power through the air, of course. Without being electrocuted in the process. Yeah, got some good write-ups on it. A lot of reading though. So what are we talking about over here? Primitive magic. What are they trying to do? Cooking? What's it doing there? It's got a fire underneath, right? A heated bath. I suppose that could go wrong, couldn't it? What the hell's that? Ancient chemistry. Alchemy. Trying to make something from other elements, which we do today by ramming atoms with protons, is it? Or is it neutrons? No, I think it's protons. Try and get protons to stick to the center of the atom to create a new heavy one. Element 115, like. And of course, we found about mixing metals together and adding carbon makes them really stronger. You know, stainless steel made better weapons. The experiment with immortality. What's that? Japanese or Chinese? Yang. That's got to be Chinese, isn't it? Chinese. Okay. What's your background? We had a brief Congress. We work with 5 eyes. Yeah, right. What's your background? My background is computer science. A bit like Jack Relay. Artificial intelligence. That's what I was mucking around with as a school kid. On 8-bit micros, even at that. I suppose the same minds get into UFO field. Computer people. And camera people. The spirit guides. Charlatans, is it? All those old churches that got knocked down, huh? 'Cause that's what happened in the UK, wasn't it? The Protestants with Catholic Church, wasn't it? And so the king ordered, was it all the Catholic churches to be burnt down and knocked down? So there's a lot of sites like this where the churches got burnt and looted with all their gold. And these are some of the blueprints, I guess. It's a pretty good drawing to have in a book. And they've sort of got a blueprint with what's remaining of the chapel and stuff. It's pretty good. What happened is a lot of the villagers would take the bricks away and build other buildings out of it. Why not? If you've got a burnt out building with some resources, might as well keep recycling. Oh, that one's a bit tricky to focus on, but it's not as glary, is it? It's got a wee bit of glare there. What's that there? Oh, yeah. I was hoping for more UFO stories, because that's what I bought these magazines for. But, yeah, I sort of liked the mix mostly in it. It's just too much reading, especially like this. We're just looking for the best stories at the moment. We'll just go through all of them. I think it'd be a couple of 100 mags, right? And maybe we can focus on the stories a bit better. Voyage into the unknown. I'll wait till they get into space. That's going to be a lot more scary, and other planets. The Mary Celeste has vanished. Did it vanish, or was it the crew that everybody on board vanished? Yeah. Must have just drifted in, shouldn't it? They reckon they probably ate mouldy bread and went all crazy like LSD. But who knows? They may have panicked and jumped overboard, and of course they died then, wouldn't they? From the cold water. Maybe a big UFO was over top of them. Or a sea monster. Or one of these things. Look at that. If that was coming towards you, what would you do? You probably want to jump the boat, wouldn't you? But they don't realise the water's a bigger killer, and the cold factor. Above, recreation of one theory of the crew of the Mary Celeste. They all fell overboard. They were all drunk. I don't know. Maybe someone had a gun pointed at them and said jump or die. Could be anything. A logic of their own. Japan gave some clues about UFO power. Eh? 2 incidents. So that sounds like a good article. Have we heard it before? I don't know. Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Tomakomol, Japan, 1973. What are you saying? Paul Heller, former Prime Minister. Wasn't he a bit crazy, that guy? That's what I sort of got the impression. He said some strange stuff. With my dad when I was 15. 2013 National Press Club Citizens Hearing. So really, if you want to relay all this type of message, it's best not in the side chat. It's best to join the Discord group and post it in the lobby. If you want to talk about it or bring it to a live show or something like that to tell the story. No, you are the disinformation, right? That's news to me. Steve is the greatest. Well, looks like you might have to go too, mate. Follow the rules, no trolling. No insults, swearing. Be civil here. Far from disinformation, mate. You clearly haven't watched my channel if you think that. But anyway, I've got some of the best UFO evidence on my channel, and only I've got it. That's for the starters. So what's this thing about UFO power? Looks like a being going to water there. So I don't know how me reading out stories from 40L magazines is being disinformation. Also, I might have to charge my mouse. The battery's getting low. Okay. This is what happens when we get trolls. It sort of slows down what we're doing. Let's just put that down for the time being. I want to get this organised a bit better. Now, back to this. Who we got now? Yeah, don't give me any money, guys. That's my only goal. You idiots. Okay. I certainly don't want money from Stupid people. So he's talking about seeing a UFO, and that must be it here. And it's a sphere one. Don't often see these ones with people in it. Everything was lit up as though by to be windows around. Here we can see that by the drawing. Humanoid shapes. Whether that was similar to the first. And there must be another sighting they're talking about. Because we're skimming it here. Glowing spheres swiftly moved into position whence they disappeared into one end of the large gasoline can. What? And in this turn, shot off to the north like a shooting star. The witness sat motionless, numb all over. He slowly became aware that his car radio was giving forth meaningless sounds, and that himself was suffering from a severe headache. Estimated that the terrible incident had lasted for about 12 minutes. They want me to do harm. We might have done this one before. Italy, 1952. Carlo Rossi was walking alongside the river, although not sure if that name rings a bell. And he was puzzled by the appearance of unusual light. Turret underneath. 3 legs. Let's have a look. Yeah, this doesn't make any sense having a ladder though, does it? That's very humanoid story. A green ray passed over the head and he threw himself down, looking up. Seconds later, saw the craft rise above. Not too sure about that one. The Japanese one sounded more realistic than this one. So I might have to come back to that one at some stage. It counts as experience on a television program. Not sure if I know this one either. fluorescent tube fitted in car. This light was confined to the car's interior. None, he said, was passing through the windows. That's kind of weird. Yikes. And that looks like the goblins from Kentucky. And the Mothman. Got some letters written in here. Premonition, maybe. Premonition dream that come true. Psychic. Okay, these ones are not in binders. What's happened over here? Oh yeah, looks like I'm going to charge my mouse. I should have done that earlier. Let me just do that now. I reckon 3 minutes charges all you need on this particular Logitech. The cable's not long enough. Right. It's still working. Associate with Dr. Stephen Greer. That's just bullcrap. Stephen Greer couldn't summon anything. That's just absolute nonsense. If that was the case, we wouldn't need disclosure. You could just get the film crew there to summer it down and film it. No, Dr. Greer's disinformation. Bye bye. I ain't got no time for Dr. Greer. I've debunked all his stuff. Good riddance. I don't know where all these people are coming from tonight. But you're obviously not my friend. And go and give all your money to Dr. Greer. Because I certainly don't want any of it. I only want sensible, intelligent, scientific people here, not people with mental problems. Let's have a look at this stuff. Fear of the undead. Perhaps Dr. Greer can summon that. His space brother. Dracula vampire. Don't believe any of that one. Never really liked vampire horror movies either. Yeah, it's not going to focus. There we go. The undead. A lot of that stems from these people that are buried alive, right? Where their breathing has literally stopped, and so they think they're dead. But they take shallow breaths every so often. And there's also a drug that people gave to people that would make them into the same state. And that's why they put little bells above the ground. And they used to tie it to the big toe so they could if they ever woke up, they could ring the bell. And hopefully the green taker, or what do you want to call it, the graveyard taker, would come and rescue them. What's it saying there? The Hammer films, I remember those. Hammer horror films. Some of them were quite good. Here's the healer again. Matter of faith. What's that down there? Can't quite read it. Dr. Bernard Grad. Pioneering experiments into nature of spiritual healing. Well, we're not seeing it taught in universities, so it can't be that pioneering. Not replicatable. It's not science. Okay, it's talking about that being an experiment, but don't want to spend too much time trying to figure it out, because I want to get into other better stories. ESP test. I can't discount ESP though, because I talked about that in my theories as well, about how that can be done through energy transference from atoms, or fractal energy patterns actually being part of the data storage, and so people can tap into it. But yeah, when you're doing person-to-person connection, it's working on a different level, obviously. So it must be the test. What's it saying? Alright, seedlings. Wishing them the best of health and all that sort of stuff. Although a lot of people have tried to replicate that, and there was lots of other factors that they didn't take into account. And of course, the tests were meaninglessly useless. And I like the type of water distilled, whether it's the same soil, whether they had the same light, temperature and all that. And what have we got here? The sense to survive. Rattlesnake. Talking about bats, dolphins, and again, lots of reading. I always saw the good stories. Come on. The third eye. Okay. Hindus and Buddhists have believed that pineal gland is in fact a third eye. Talking about the other experiments they did. And of course that's what Jack Relay got into, wasn't it, ESP? And he said it was working. Spooky action at a distance, right? Like I said, break up these stories a bit. I suppose it gets too much in one book, right? Alchemy again. I suppose you're not going to show a picture of that guy. Mr. Hissler. As some called him. What have we got here? Didn't mean to touch the screen. Oop. Now we're in trouble. Are we back? It's only lost 15% power. I have to refresh. Reconnect. That's no good. Somewhat's going wrong. Here we go. Okay, so where do we get to? Atoms, alchemy. Rutherford, a Kiwi, strengthened the conviction of orthodox scientists that methods of alchemists could never lead to the transmission of elements. It was found that the atom has a central nucleus. Yeah, so just by mixing chemicals together, you couldn't do too much. But now they're firing protons. That's other elements and making new elements, of course. He looks familiar. Einstein. What? Making gold from sand. I wish we could. That would be really handy. Who was Caspar Hauser? Well, it sounds Caspar Hauser, Caspar Hauser, German. Some sort of crazy guy that can control animals. I don't know. Who was he? Fame spread, investigations doubled the efforts to piece together his background. Was brutally murdered. Who killed him and why? Okay. So how did he get brutally murdered then? Looks like they made a film about him. Death of an enigma. The non-essential nature of his message led some to believe that Caspar had fabricated the attack. Okay. Hoax. So, a few books written on him. Novels, plays, and film. Then, So it says a German film. The Enigma of Casper Hauser. Might have to try and see if we can find it, huh? Made in 1975. So I'm having to read an article about it. We could see maybe more information about it on a movie. So what's this person writing in? About 6 years ago, my husband and I were motoring through Germany again. It was late autumn and the days were short. One evening we found ourselves in the Eifel Mountains, close to Luxembourg border, with the light fading. It turned out to be a small, isolated guest house. There was another house in sight, only dark forest, so it sounds like a time slip. The people, however, were very nice. The bedroom was large and quite comfortable. After a pleasant supper, we retired early and fell asleep at once. About 2:30, I woke up suddenly. The room was pitch black, but while I was... Stupid mouse pointers in the way. Let's get that out of the way. So, where did we get to? Suddenly awoke while I was staring at the darkness. Hands suddenly appeared. White hands, dozens of them, and all in pairs. Some were young, almost childish, some old, and some misshapen. Some long and slender. They were everywhere above the bed and by the door. Sounds like some of those horror movies that come out of America. There was no other part of anybody to be seen, but each pair of hands was squeezing, wringing, and clasping together as if it's in the most terrible distress. Kind of weird. So were they after help? What's happened to our pictures? Got shrunken down. There we go. Full screen again. That's because I refreshed it. Next morning, we missed something. I woke my husband. He switched on the light, and we saw that the door was still locked. We had made sure it was locked before getting into bed, and that the key was on the bedside locker. He opened the door and looked out the corridor, but there was no sign of life. Next morning at breakfast, we tried with the little German we had to find out Rose Muller was and what had happened to her. I've never seen people change so quickly. Our bill was brought immediately. The proprietor and his wife seemed as if they couldn't get rid of us quickly enough. And all the smiling welcome disappeared. They were obviously distressed, didn't understand that I had never seen or heard the name Rose Muller before that night. And I felt only compassion and sorrow. Whatever had apparently happened at some time previously in that room. Okay, so she must have gotten... Where did it get the name from? Oh, right, we missed out another paragraph. Then the whispering started from every corner of the room. Various tones came out. Just Rose Miller was repeatedly over and over. Maybe they killed her. There's always the letter written, so it's generally good. Now, if we go over all of them, we'll be here for days. So what have we got now? Bushfires. Tesla. Got a shine. Tesla Genius. Dracula Engine. Tunguska Fireball. Career in Ruins. Creating a Ghost. God, that looks a bit run down, doesn't it? So, what's all this about? Religious stories? Burn the witch. No sign of a ghost. So it's ghost stories, is it? Group decided that one of their members would write a total fictitious life story of a ghost. Alright, so they tried to make up a story that wasn't true and see if they could catch out people. Well, of sorts. Philip did little to try to save her. She was burned at the stake. Okay. Must be part of the story. Okay. Goes on a bit. Sounds like a Mick West. Only a few weeks. Phenomenon began to appear. There was no. Yeah, that's quite interesting. How in a recent episode of Kindred Spirits, they also made up a story. It was some sort of test. And they found that the EVP that was talking to him was actually repeating the story. Like, it was like a parrot. So, yeah, so they normally have these tourists that go around talking about the history of the place and what meant to happen. And they believe that there could be like trickster ghosts or spirits that pretends to be that story, even though it's inaccurate. And now they have to be careful that they're not on grounds or within too close to where they're going to investigate to make sure not to contaminate the location. So maybe these people trying to create a fake story also got caught out because things started happening the way they told the story. Which makes perfect sense. Like I said, if ghosts are actually interdimensional creatures or they like to mimic things, makes perfect sense that they could mimic someone that used to live there that had died and trick people. But it might actually be a real creature, interdimensional or whatever. outside a normal visual spectrum, that sort of stuff. What's that, fake ghost picture or what? A flying stall. Group instead. Yeah, it really needs to be read out, this one. Shame we can't scan it in. Card table, it was in the air. See, that would have been good to catch on video, right? And could it be done with fishing wire? Of course it could. But you've got investigators there debunking. They would simply solve that quite easily, I'd say. Tesla, Brave New World. We're talking about the original Tesla, nothing to do with the car. What's he saying there? Device to weapon. Yeah, but they've looked into it. Apparently it was using mercury. And it was shooting off plasma ionized gas of mercury, which would definitely kill and cause a charge between the mercury and the thing it touched, and then you'd shoot off the high voltage, like it make it like a invisible wire, I guess, using gas, mercury. But of course that would then settle on the land, and mercury is highly toxic and it'd kill the people. Probably at that time they didn't know about how dangerous mercury was. Yeah, but they used to have hat makers that used to go mad because they used to lick their hats when they made them. And of course they had mercury, some mercury they used to form the hats. So that's where the thing mad as a hatter come from. So the banker Morgan, he's the one that closed down the final experiment, which could have changed our world, because Tesla had found out about radiant energy then, and he was trying to find the way to tap it, universe energy, so to speak, and convert it back into AC energy. Universe energy being what feeds the atoms all around us. Ruby laser. Okay. Was it him that first invented it? The light fantastic. I think he did something to do with lasers. And X-rays, of course. Okay, so here's one of these. This was the new tower that he was building, which got dismantled before he had a chance to experiment with it. Oh, where's it gone? So that was before they started editing the glass dome on top. It wasn't like any other Tesla tower. The glass dome was something unique to do with his latest research, and nothing to do with free power as what they think it is, with the wireless power through the air, through coils, like a lot of people get it wrong. He had actually found how to tap into dark energy, from dark matter, which he called different names, of course. So I've never seen that picture before. The fireball. So what caused it? Nuclear explosion. Exploding UFO? Or a fireball? And some reckon it was Tesla experimenting with his Tesla tower. I thought I was going to get through more of this. And looks like it's going to be part 2, part 3, part 4. So this is like the second half of the first folder still. And what have we got over here? The Indians. See, the people don't realise how many Indian type, not Indians, Chinese type people, actually Russians as well. Many of the reindeer broke out in scabs. So that kind of sounds like radiation, doesn't it? Sickness suggests a nuclear explosion had occurred. Or maybe some unknown toxin. And you can see how the trees scattered. So that's where it exploded in the atmosphere above the ground. Collision on Earth with a small comet. I don't think it was a collision though, because it blew up in the air, didn't it? Spacecraft from Mars. Yeah. Well, spacecraft from anywhere, really. How we going for time? Uh, 1 hour 39. Yeah, it should be better. It's got a charge. We've got here Rise of Count Dracula. Yeah, not really interested in vampires. What a creepy looking castle though. The guy used to put people on spikes and drink their blood. A career in ruins. Understanding ruins. And back to that church again. So, what's this about automatic writing, is it? Talking to the ghosts. What's that guy? The guy from Blackadder. Warwick. Now, is it? I can't remember now. He did a series on that, and he did 3-part series, and one of it was at this place, I think. And he did automatic writing, it actually made sense. When they did some background check on what he had written, it matched up with some evidence they had found, which is kind of amazing. Can't remember what it was called now. It was good. It was an interesting show, anyway. I'm just trying to get a summary of what it was about. Petzer was able to provide him with all kinds of historic tidbits. Yeah, but what was the mystery there? I can't remember now. Anyway, to the next one. And you can bet be some more of the same stuff, right? Glastonbury gang kiss off. Killer Key. CIA and the UFO cover-up. Yep, that sounds right. Long denied any interest in UFOs, well, we know that's a lie. Yet keeps thousands of UFO documents in secret lists. They sure do. Tells how the cover was blown and reveals a bizarre CIA plot to mislead the public. UFO researchers have long maintained that the government knows more about the UFO phenomenon than they officially admit. Yep. Now they're trying to make a reboot. We did it all wrong in the past, but we're doing it properly now. I'm going to do new research, fund us more money. UFO skims. I said it there. Over the deserts. And what is it? You reckon? That looks like a big photograph, that's for sure. Can we get it in focus? No. Kind of looks like a weather balloon. One of those big round white ones. And they don't go up very fast. They're only like 11 kilometers per 11 meters per what was it? Per minute. But they will get up to a certain altitude where they can look like they're not moving. But who knows? It could be like that Japanese article we read earlier, where it had windows going around the sphere, and you could see people inside it, but I can't see the same thing as the article. What's this one here? Yeah, not too sure. So you need to look at that. That way, maybe. 52 again. And was is that the one where it passes the tower? It could be. The four things, wasn't it? That's one of the most credible UFO footages that we got from that time. They said there definitely weren't jets. Well, they didn't look like jets. Indeed, solid skeptics have claimed UFOs were birds or planes. Computerized images of these at comparable distance. A bird, centre, far right. The planes show quite difference. Yeah. Centre. What do I mean centre? Right. So they're saying they're birds, and that's a plane. Not sure. Well, I haven't seen these before, but obviously they're in the book. Project Blue Book. The Marine, the CIA, and the UFO. What's this one? One of the oldest UFO cases. Is 1952 again, cited by US Marine Ralph Maher. It's odd, not because of the sighting itself, which was normal as any UFO event, but because of what happened after. The Man in Black. He was an experienced movie photographer. So that means he can fake stuff too. And was interested. Where did it go to? in UFOs, so he arranged to meet the Goldsteins the next day and rented a camera. He had a theory that sources sometimes appear on consecutive nights. At 9:30 p.m. on 29th of July, Maya heard a woman across the street shout that a UFO was in view. The Goldsteins and another neighbour, Herman Stern, also saw the object, which remained visible over the ocean for about 3 minutes. Maybe he managed to shoot only some 40 frames of the film because his view was obscured by trees and buildings. The object was travelling horizontally towards the witnesses, then turned and shot away. Mayer had his film processed at once. His unit commander had no objection to release some frames to Miami Press Center and even recorded a radio interview, but within 48 hours, and I got an itch. I have to wrap up in a minute. 3 hours, USA investigators were on the scene and threw a security blanket over the case. Of course they would. Was visited by a number of men with CIA credentials who apparently told him keep quiet about the event. On inquiry, Mayer was also told that the USAF thought the pinpoints of light too small to analyse properly, but the film was never returned. We might better do something with it now, though. Scan the film in at 4K. Perhaps the strangest part of the story is while well-informed UFO investigators like Major Donald Keyhole heard nothing of the film, ace debunker Dr. Donald Menzel soon became familiar with it for serial inventiness. Menzel said it showed an cobweb. Computer analysis button indicates that the object is solid 50 feet, travelling at 2,500 miles per hour. So let's have a look. Yeah. Kind of does look like a seed pod, doesn't it? That's in with the photo. That's weird. They blew up the pins of light, which shows that. And analysed. UFO. Well, why has it got an unusual surface in that case? What's that there? Unexplained mass of light. Okay. So that's all we got on that one. A very strange place. Can't quite read that. Now we're back to the Glastonbury scripts. Yeah, but what was so special about them? I can't remember. It was meant to be like automatic writing. I suppose they were telling them where they would find the bodies, and if they found the bodies where the automatic script writing was, I guess it could prove that they were in communication. Maybe that's what it was. Oh, why aren't you focusing? Where was Avalon? I don't know, you're telling the story. The journey of the soul. Do the souls of the dead live on? Yeah, we still don't have the answer, do we? Yeah, so I went to a funeral today as well. It was a good send off. He died of kidney failure. The curse of the killer key. Looks like a bad buddy. Killer Key house was stained with violence and bloodshed. Scary. So what was the claim to fame though? Relationship between the phenomenon witnessed at the haunted house and the people who witnessed them. It was not a matter of chance that one person should see a ghost while another did not see it. Yeah. And that's what I said. That you may not see ghosts with your eyes. It might be an alteration in the brain cells that causes you to see it, like EMF. They're mucking around with science at the moment where they can actually interpret pictures that you're seeing with your eyes from analysing your brain waves. which is kind of interesting, and also transmit an image into your brain and you see it, which is probably more scary. But it might explain why aliens are able to implant things in the brain of their victims. So they're back onto that again. Radiation check, was it saying? So they didn't find any radioactivity. He's saying it is. Atomic tests, though. So maybe the Russians were mucking around with something. I don't know. Can't trust any government, really. Did something go wrong when they're mucking around and it blew up? Probably atomic plane, probably. Atomic engine, right? They're mucking around with it. But then that was before the atomic blast, wasn't it? Had to be. So it means his testing would have been what year then, in that case? Did it say? Can't remember now. Way after Tesla anyway, in the explosion. Did it say what year? Really? How about captions? How old is he? Doesn't say. Right, there you go. 3 expeditions, 58. Yeah, so that would have been after they were testing new weapons, which is bad news, really, because you want to test it at the time that it happens. Yeah. Well, it looks like people from Europe and UK are dead lost anyway for live streams. And people from New Zealand. No JD again. And these are letters written in. There you go, we've got another one to go. It finishes one folder. think. 54. I suppose we'll wrap up on this one. I thought it was going to start some of the second book that's over there. Sex with an alien, vampires, no, not vampires, signals from space, lost civilizations, Nazi occultism. That's going to be banned by Google. Back in 40 years ago, none of that was. It was less of a nanny state. Ancient cities. Yeah, so we've got over here. The Red Sea. Temple of Ammon. Now, if aliens come to Earth back then, why has none been found in that have been mummified? Especially in the Valley of the Kings, right? So that means they couldn't have been here to stay and die, if that's the case. And they weren't into burning the bodies, especially if they were mummifying them. So, yeah. Ancient alien stuff. I don't think so. It's not going to focus. There we go. It takes a few seconds sometimes. But, yeah. Talking about all these ancient ruins. The closest counter ever. What the hell's that? A horny UFO. 3 road cones on it. I don't know, what is it meant to be? Weird. And what have we got underneath? Right, just a paddock. So many UFOs is the apparent pointlessness. Alright, look at that. We're being sabotaged again. Go away. But we'll wrap up soon. Enough is enough. Villas Boas, 1958, for Dr. Olivo Fontes, enjoyed 1961. Brazilian Society for the Study of Flying Saucers. Again, a UFO ladder, really? That kind of sounds like the story about the kid that saw it being carved up, eaten meat or something. They were covering up meat inside, was it? Was that the same one? Climbed up a ladder to get inside the UFO. If anything, I found it the most unconvincing one, because they had the snorkels going straight to the noses, which would be in the way, especially if you were trying to work on them. You want the snorkel for the ear and not going straight to the nose. But to the back of the head, like normal, where it's out the way, it's not going to get cut. Especially if you're working on knives. Looks very human-like. Description above the door. There we go. Yeah, it wouldn't be too hard to fabricate that, would it? Some people just like attention seekers, right? To fix it, or choose one of these. Cap end, can't quite keep it steady, like a child's suction. Arrows fitted to the chin. See, that doesn't sound right to me. I think it might be that one that Jack Valet believed, or something, was it? Oh, no, it's not quite the same. So I'm not sure. Can't remember what the guy's name was, though. Doesn't talk about Jack Valet investigating that. Mysterious class. I don't think, you never know. Maybe some other alien race that's not alien greys, of course. Yes, the Holy Relics. Indiana Jones. It was based on true story, sort of. That they actually believed in these religious artifacts that could give them power to rule the world. Oh, better not focus on that one. Signals from the stars. That one there is one of the towers snapped, isn't it? Sort of decayed. And they left it for ruins now. I don't know about getting radio signals from aliens. It's more likely to be light signals or some other radiation. There's Cooper, is it? Or was it the Russian guy? No, Gordon Cooper, there you go. He's got his eyes strange there, though. Strange voices broken in on special channel used for communication between Cooper and Mission Control. We analysed the voices were found to speak what was obviously an intelligent language. I haven't heard that story before, have we? Strange voice from off Mercury. Mission was repeated. Might have to look more into that one. As you know, stars make constant patterns that are recognisable, but voices have certain breaks and phonetic sounds, which makes it into a language. So, what if they've got the tapes available for us to hear? That would be good to analyse. But Gordon Cooper's the only one that said that aliens were correct, rural, weren't they? He was outspoken on that, more than any other astronaut. So. So let's maybe do some research on that. Strange voices, Gordon Cooper. What year was that? 1968, December. Sighted by astronauts in the moon's orbit. Oh, there you go. No. 63 it was. Above Hawaii. Maybe you heard some Hawaiians on ham radio. Let's see if we can find the story anyway. And that's the last magazine. What are we talking about here? Strange occurrences. Travis Fulton. Yeah, fraud. Dreams. And Indian on a rope. Because we know that's a trick. And they prepare ahead of time how they do that. It's actually standing on a post with the rope going around the outside. Yes. Those ones where they sort of look like they're floating while they're sitting. Is that one doing it? He's not doing it, but apparently they got like a special bent piece of wire that goes up the side of their trousers that's implanted into the ground that they connect into before they set it up so no one sees, and then they just go over it and slide down their pants, the thing in the pants, and basically are sitting on it. Anyway, Gordon Cooper, let's see if we can find that out there. So how do we go for the battery on that? Looks like it's scrolled up a bit. It's not too bad. 30% to do 2.5 hours. So at least I know I don't have to have the cable connected. We'll do the other books, part 3. It's obviously going to be a few more to do still. But yeah, we got some interesting stories on UFOs. At least 4 there, wasn't there? Unfortunately, we got trolled. That sort of put me off a bit by stupid Dr. Greer people. So in 1963, let's see what we can find out. Gordon Cooper. Yeah, I got to do that on the weekend. Catch up on some UFO analysis. But yeah, I got to get ready for bed in a minute. Got a hospital visit in the morning. Put that back up again. Yes. Bit of shame about the trolls. Anyway, Gordon Cooper. Gordon Cooper, see what's on the web about it. Maybe it's not even on the web. Gordon Cooper, 1963. Over Hawaii. Hawaii. Voices. I think I spelled that wrong. Gordon Cooper's Finest Hour. Sounds like a movie. How's audio going anyway? Better check that. No, it's still working. Little problems we had. Conquest Forum. Here we go. Well, making his 4th pass to Hawaii, claims he heard weird voices. So let's have a look at that one. That should be easier to read than trying to focus in the camera. Whoa. Is that the story there? Well, let's see if we can get it to read out, huh? Need the other browser. Here we go. I wonder if they got the recordings so. Does it really want to hear it?
Astronaut to see a UFO while in orbit was Major Gordon Cooper during the Marathon Mercury flight mission of 21 orbits in Faith 7, May 15, 1963. While making a pass over Hawaii, Cooper claims he heard weird voice transmissions, which he called an unintelligible foreign language. The fact is that this transmission had cut in on the VHF channel reserved exclusively for space flights. There is no evidence that any nation on Earth violated that international agreement. Tapes later proved that the sounds were not those of a foreign language of this planet, but those of a tongue completely alien to Earth. Although language experts for NASA have replayed these tapes over and over, they simply have not been able to analyze it. On his final orbit of Earth in Faith 7, while over the Muchia tracking station near Perth, Australia, Cooper saw a weird-looking object approaching him. This UFO was also seen by over 200 people at the tracking station. Cooper described the object as being of good size and claimed, "It was higher than I was. It wasn't and #39, T even in the vicinity of the horizon." This indicated that the bogey, NASA and #39, S slang term for UFO, was not a star or other object, either natural or man-made. Afterward, Cooper stated bluntly in the book We7, "I also had the idea there might be some interesting forms of life out in space for us to discover and get acquainted with. I Don and #39, T believe in fairy tales, but as far as I and #39, am concerned there have been far too many unexplained examples of unidentified objects sighted around this Earth to rule out the possibility that some form of life exists out beyond our world.
Alright, so apparently these guys that trolled me have trolled my Discord as well. Just noticed. Instant ban there. Claiming I'm disinformation despite I've had an alien visit myself. What an idiot. Grandmaster, we are the people behind truth. Yeah, work with Dr. Greer, you damn idiot. Grandmaster. Even the name is stupid. These are the people that are the reason why no one's taken seriously in ufology. All these mentals. That's ridiculous. Is there anyone's going to believe him? The people that know me pretty well. And know I'm no fraud. And they know how generous I am with my money, because a lot of my main supporters get merchandise from me, even though I run this mostly out of my pocket. First glimpse from... I only follow the evidence, guys. And I've seen the lie. These guys are probably the ones that are hoaxing it with Greer, right? Yeah. So, yeah, I was just reading stuff that Plex put up about TikTok being like a big experiment. Anyway. So, have we got any links to the actual recording at all? I suppose it was on a secure channel. We ain't going to get access to it, are we? Take Gordon's word for it, definitely would have happened. Was a very credible man. Someone made lots of money selling lies on Cooper. Okay. 6-man told Art Bell on syndicated coast-to-coast talk radio Tuesday night it was totally untrue. Sorry to say. Which was untrue? The voices? Let's see. Long-term claim repeated over the years. Various authors and Hynek, Jack's valet, that he saw a greenish object with a red tail move past his Mercury 9 spacecraft in 1963. No, somebody made a lot of money selling lies. So it doesn't say that it's taken from this link. It doesn't say whether or not if the voice ones were good. Taken from space. Yeah, so I probably have to wrap up now. Just NASA History Division. Yeah, but did I make the recording available? Go on, NASA. 60. Okay, let's just read that one out. Because it's on NASA government site, so. Oh god, it's long. Okay, let's start reading it. Maybe they got a link to it. Ah, right. It's the wrong browser.
USH intensify as Faith 7 gained altitude faster each second. His clocks marking the moments in synchronization, Cooper shouted through the din of the afterburner behind him to Walter Schira, his predecessor, and now capsule communicator at the Cape. Feels good, buddy. All systems go 55. 60 seconds upward, MA9 initiated its pitch program, and Cooper felt the max-Q vibrations grow, but the rate gyros sensed greater lateral oscillations than the pilot did. 6 or 7 swings from peg to peg on his instruments, and the flight smoothed out. 2 minutes and 14 seconds upward, Cooper heard a loud glung, and then a sharp, crisp thud for staging as booster engines cut themselves out and off. Then away flew the needless escape tower, and at 3 minutes after launch, cabin pressure sealed and held while Cooper reported, Faith 7 is all go. The Atlas sustainer engine continued to accelerate, and its guidance system performed perfectly for 2 more minutes before SECO. Faith 7 and Sigma 7 swapped remarks on the sweetness of the trajectory. Schira, at the point of Cooper's orbital insertion and capsule separation, said, smack dab in the middle of the go plot. Beautiful. And Cooper replied, after turning around on the fly-by-wire, boy, oh boy, working just like advertised. In full horizontal flight over Bermuda at 17,547 miles per hour, Cooper watched his booster lag and tumble for about 8 minutes, then checked his temperatures and contingency recovery areas, and tried to adjust to the strange, 495, new sensations and perspectives at a little more than 100 miles, near his perigee, above sea level. Floating higher in his couch, now that he was weightless, Cooper agreed with Carpenter's report that an astronaut's sense of the cockpit changes when he reaches 0G and no longer feels himself flying flat on his back. Status checks with the Canary Islands and Kano, Nigeria, came on so fast that Cooper could hardly believe he had crossed the Atlantic Ocean and half of Africa already. Over Zanzibar, he learned that his orbital parameters looked good enough for at least 20 revolutions, and that all Faith 7's telemetry was working well. His suit temperature fluctuated somewhat erratically, but as he watched his first sunset from space over the Indian Ocean, he forgot his discomfort while looking at the airglow, spotting the twinkleless stars, and observing sheet lightning in scattered thunderstorms down under. He saw the lights of Perth, Australia, on schedule 55 minutes after liftoff, and over Canton Island, in the Polynesian archipelago, just south of the equator, the sun began to rise behind him as he flew backward toward the sunrise, and Cooper reported observing Glenn's fireflies, or Carpenter's frost flies, drifting along with the spacecraft at 5 miles per second. From Guaymas, Mexico, Grissom, acting as capsule communicator, officially relayed the computer-blessed go for 7 orbits. Cooper, audibly impressed with the perfection of the flight so far, said, "It's great. Quite a full night. Everything appears very nominal on board here." As Cooper passed over the launch site at Cape Canaveral, Skira raised him on the radio circuits once again and complained, "You son of a gun, I haven't got anything to talk about. I'm still higher and faster, but I have an idea you're going to go farther." The manned one-day mission was off to an auspicious start. Alan Shepard, who had been Cooper's backup pilot, and was now also talking to Faith 7 from Mercury Control, coached Cooper into his second orbit, saying, "All of our monitors down here are overjoyed. Everything looks beautiful." Cooper thought so too. All his spacecraft and physiological systems performed perfectly on his first 2 orbits. His only complaint concerned an oily film on his windshield that seemed to be on the outside pane of the window. Between Zanzibar and Muchia on his second pass, Cooper dozed off for a 4-minute nap, and then drifted across the Pacific, observing storms while inverted and stars when facing spaceward. Beginning with his third orbit, the astronaut checked over the 11 experiments in which he was to participate. He prepared to eject a 6-inch diameter sphere, equipped with polar xenon strobe lights, that was to test his ability to spot and track a flashing beacon in a tangential orbit. At 3 hours and 25 minutes elapsed time, Cooper clicked the squib switch and heard and felt the beacon kick away. But, try as he might, he could not see the flashing light in the dusk or on the night side during this round. On the 4th orbit, however, he did spot the beacon at sunset and later saw it pulsing. So he knew he had indeed launched a satellite from his satellite. Cooper jubilantly reported to Carpenter on Kauai, "I was with the little rascal all night." 496, subsequently, on his 5th and 6th orbits, Cooper saw the flashing xenon several more times, and likewise spotted the constant xenon ground light of 44,000 watts placed at Bloemfontein, a little horseshoe-shaped town in the Union of South Africa. Having eaten some bite-sized brownie and fruitcake foods and excreted periodic samples for urinalysis, Cooper also kept up with his calibrated exercises, took oral temperatures and blood pressure readings, and did other duties required for the highest priority experiments of the MA9 mission, the aeromedical ones. Also on his 6th orbit, after 9 hours in space, the astronaut set his cameras, attitude, and switches to deploy a tethered balloon, similar to the one tried on MA7, for aerodynamic studies of drag and for more visual experiments. The balloon, a 30-inch diameter mylar sphere painted fluorescent orange, was to be inflated with nitrogen and attached by a 100-foot nylon line to the spacecraft antenna canister. A strain gauge in the canister should be able to measure the differences in pull on the balloon at apogee, 166 miles, and perigee, 100 miles. Cooper carefully went through his checklist, then tried to eject the balloon package, but nothing happened. He tried again, and still nothing happened. Because the antenna canister was later lost, no one ever knew why the tethered balloon failed to eject. But the second failure of this experiment was more severely disappointing than the first. When Cooper surpassed Skira's record by moving into a 7th orbital pass, he was engaged with the radiation experiments and with the hydraulic work of transferring urine samples and condensate water from tank to tank. During the automatically recorded radiation measurements, he had to turn the recorders on and off precisely on time and estimate accurately, without benefit of gyros, his drifting spacecraft's attitude. The hydraulic work was more difficult, because the hypodermic-type syringes used to pump the liquid manually from one bag container to another were unwieldy and exasperatingly leaky. At 9:27 elapsed time, Cooper spoke into his tape recorder, "The thing about this pumping under 0G is not good. Liquid tends to stand in the pipes, and you have to actually forcibly force it through." After 10 hours of the mission, Zanzibar officially informed Cooper that he had a go for 17 orbital passes. The tracking, communication, and computing facilities at Goddard Space Flight Center in Maryland had long since settled down to a routine in following Faith 7 around the world. The actual orbital parameters for Cooper's flight were proving so close to those planned that the differences were measurable only in tenths of a mile and hundredths of a degree. MA9 was circumnavigating Earth once every 88 minutes and 45 seconds at an inclination angle of 32.55 degrees to the equator. Soon, as Earth turned beneath Cooper, his orbital track would have shifted too much to keep him within range of most of the scattered tracking and communications sites in Mercury's worldwide network. Then, too, the word orbit would become confused, because passing 497 over the same meridian on the rotating planet is not the same as passing through the space-fixed point of orbital insertion.
So it's like a log, isn't it? But it hasn't come up with a bit about Hawaii and the voices. Whether it's in that page, I don't know. How do we find something on the page here? What to find? Or search. Has it got search? Find. Here we go. So let's type in Hawaii. Is that how you spell it? Hawaii. Yeah, that's it. There it goes. So, is it talking about that radio transmission or not? How do we carry on?
Although this fine plumbing they put in this thing proved more troublesome later, Cooper had learned to adjust his suit temperatures for comfort, and to eat and drink over the rim of his helmet fairly effectively, if awkwardly. Then on his 19th orbit, while checking his warning lights before a high-frequency antenna test over Hawaii, Cooper noticed the first potentially serious systems anomaly of his mission. A small telelight lit up green, indicating that Faith 7 was decelerating, and that the centripetal force of gravity had overcome by 0.05 g the centrifugal force of the spacecraft's orbital moment of inertia. This had to be a false indication, reasoned Cooper, because he felt, and his loose gear still appeared, weightless. But were g-forces building up imperceptibly? California confirmed no such indication. Mercury Control showed great concern over the implications of this little light for the attitude stabilization at retrofire. The fears of the flight controllers were realized on the next pass, when Cooper lost all attitude readings. Then, on the 21st orbit, a short circuit occurred in a busbar serving the 250-volt main inverter, leaving the automatic stabilization and control system without electric power. The minor glitch had become a serious hitch. Mercury Control Center was in a flurry of worried activity, cross-checking Faith 7's problems and Cooper's diagnostic actions with identical equipment at the Cape and in St. Louis, then relaying to each communications site questions to ask and instructions to give. Cooper remained cool, if not calm, now that his alertness had been stimulated by a medically prescribed pill of dextroamphetamine. On the 21st pass, over the tracking ship Coastal Sentry, John Glenn helped Cooper prepare a revised checklist for retrofire procedure during the next and last time around. Only Hawaii and Zanzibar were within voice radio range on this last circuit, but communications were good. When the ASCS inverter blew out, Cooper also noted that the carbon dioxide level was rising in both his suit and cabin. Things are beginning to stack up a little was his classic understatement to Carpenter, and then Zanzibar heard him say he would make a manual re-entry. 23 minutes later Cooper came into contact with Glenn again, reporting himself in retro attitude, holding manually, and with checkoff list complete. Glenn gave the 10-second countdown, and Cooper, keeping his pitch down 34 degrees by his window reticle, shot his retro rockets manually on the mark. Glenn reported, "Right on the old kazoo. Dealer's choice on re-entry here, 501, fly-by-wire or manual. It's been a real fine flight, Gordon. Real beautiful all the way. Have a cool re-entry, will you?" Roger, John. Thank you. And that he did. Hawaii.
So, it sounds like they had lots of niggles in these flights, but I didn't hear anything about encrypted voice unless this is one of many of the logs. So yeah, that's a bit disappointing. So, because I read voice radio there, so it must have been another one. Evening Star. It doesn't say much about it. Mysterious voice. It's in a book. What is it? I can't quite see. What is it? Mercury 9. We're passing over Hawaii. So let's see where that goes. Can you actually read that? Good question. Let's give it a try. Last thing and then sort of wrap up. I'd say we're not going to hear the recording though. Why is it not opening up? Let's see, will it read?
Result 2 of 2 in this book for Gordon Cooper 1963 over Hawaii Voices previous next view all clear search.
No, it won't read it. Because there's a graphic, I guess. Create OC code. QR code, I mean. OC code would be good. I'm going to have to manually read it out then. Let's see. Mysterious voice in an unknown language was picked up. When was this book written though? For a book, Gordon Cooper 1963 of Hawaii. Encyclopedia of Moon Mysteries. Okay. When was it published? By Conspiracies. It doesn't give us a time. Open up in a new link. When was the book written? No price. Have we got a date? 2019. So if it's a really old book, I'd probably believe it more than a new one. So I don't know if the information is correct or been made up or not. But then again, it's in my magazine, wasn't it, 40 years ago? So to me, it suggests it's been a story. It's been around for a while. Since the 60s. It's termed that no known earthly language matched what was on the tape. But then they used Indian language, a certain type of Indian, native Indians in USA during the war. So unless we hear it, and who determined it was? He crossed over Australia. Cooper saw a huge green UFO that was also picked up by tracking stations. But then the other things say that was fake news. No official word came out. So who's the person that made money on it then? Yeah, it's quite annoying. Is it a true story or not now? It's not that we can ask him, is it? I wonder if Robert's heard that story. Cooper... James Aberg probably would know if it was a real recorded thing. It's not going to come up, is it? Gordon... Hi Bob, sounds similar. I don't know. Is it a fake story going back 40 years? Or is that just a cover-up? I'll have to see if Roberts... He would have had a few books maybe that talked about this, maybe. See, if it's a true story, why didn't he mention about the strange voices on James Fox's Out of the Blue movie? He only talked about the UFO landing at what was that place? Air Force Base anyway. Edwards, was it? UFO stories from credible sources. Looks like we have to close down now anyway. I need to get a drink and get some sleep before getting up early at 9 or 8 a.m. What's the time now? Might get 7 hours sleep maybe. Cooper's fourth pass. See, there's that thing PDF. And we read out quite a lot of it, and there was nothing in that script talking about hearing voices over radio. Kind of weird. Unless I missed it. But there's only 2 mentions of Hawaii. Let's see, Gordon Cooper, false UFO stories about him. Nothing's popping up. Story claiming Bess Olsen saw aliens. That was utter nonsense. So yeah, that Gordon one probably is too. Yeah, nonsense. Story making the rounds. The first news reports misrepresented what Adrian actually said. Okay. So this is why you got to always check out, do fact checking. But yeah, can't find any reference to that Cooper one. Anyway, better wrap up. And we'll see you again in the future, guys. It was quite interesting though, that especially some of those UFO stuff that we come across tonight. And yeah, next one will be a live debunk, of course. Alright, I have to see if Rob's heard about that Cooper one. And good night, and take care on the roads. And it'll probably take a wee while to process it. And I'll probably upload it around. So looks like we got 3 more books like we've just done, so that's another 6 episodes to complete the whole book range. So we'll see how it goes. There's not much interest in it, but people do actually listen and skim over it when I upload it. So when it's not live, they don't come, but they do actually watch it. Hundreds have watched it. The previous part, anyway. And even some liked it, They've ticked up the thumb on it.